Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. This is part 2 for this news report for today, for Friday, May 24th, 2013. I'm Darko. My website is ggnonline.com, and on YouTube my channels are ddarko2012 and ddarko2013, sorry. Alright, so we left off with this article right here. Court cancels Ukraine's first gay pride rally, along with Femen is financed by a Jew. Another Femen activist, Tunisian feminist, arrested for alleged provocation. She's known for scandalizing her country by posting topless photos of herself online, has been arrested after allegedly sneaking into Tunisia's holiest city disguised in a veil, then trying to get undressed during the protest. So it goes on here, it says the protest enraged local residents who converged on her. In the video on the Tunisian news website, Nawat, people yell, "Get out," at her. And also it says, "She is dishonoring us. We will protect our town, but a dirty girl like her shouldn't come among us. We are all Muslims. You are no Muslim. Don't come to this town." Interior Ministry said it is an act of provocation and it is against the morals and traditions of Tunisian society. Gender politics abound with the creation of female Viagra. So one need only mention Viagra to denote a host of controversies around the treatment of women's health by our society and our government. While the drug has been an enormous financial success for Pfizer, it's also been a consistent point of discussion in the debate about female reproductive health, birth control, and women's version of the drug itself. So it says here, it seems to reflect a deep societal prejudice against female sexual liberation. So it just kind of goes to show you that there's just something's messed up in society, or whether you can think things are natural, or like on South Park where they dress up as the UPS man. It's just another way of popping a pill. Also, it's like someone else kind of made this comparison or correlation of, with the use of this and dildos, divorce rates will go up, continue to go up. I mean, especially when people say they're not happy. That's the main reason I'm not happy. So, gay marriage bill passes Commons despite Tory opposition. So it's kind of like in France, right? David Cameron's plan to allow same-sex couples to marry has passed its final Commons hurdle, despite an attempt by almost half of Conservative MPs to block the reform. 90% of unmarried couples with babies will break up by baby's teens, says a study. Half of all British children born this year will be living with only one parent by the time they reach their teens, the studies revealed. The myth of long-term stable relationships outside marriage. The study was undertaken by the Marriage Foundation, found 45% of British teenagers between 13 and 15 are not living with both parents, and that 9 out of 10 children born to unmarried cohabiting parents will be living in single-parent households by their teens. The study examined the different rates of family breakdown and experienced by married and cohabiting couples. Also said that the numbers are radically different for children born within marriage. 93% of parents who stayed together were married before they had a child. The relative scarcity of long-term stable relationships outside of marriage confirms that it is disingenuous and untenable for government to keep airbrushing marriage from family policy papers. This should be an important issue for government, since the direct costs of family breakdown are estimated at $46 billion, more than the entire budget for national defense. It's interesting, too, in the UK, remember that article I've showed before where the MP was saying that, we need to stop focusing on minority issues such as gay marriage and transgender movements and start focusing on the destruction of the family. At the movies, violence is the new sex. So sex may be a turnoff for Hollywood audiences, but violence is all over the big screen as filmmakers seek to capture the youth market. It says, while online porn is readily available, sex scenes are no longer prized by producers who look to action sequences or special effects to fill the gap. Oh yeah, The Paperboy. Yeah, that was a sick movie. It says here, in which Nicole Kidman played a woman sexually attracted to death row prisoners, and the sex surrogate film The Sessions with Helen Hunt are examples of recent films with sex that flopped at the box office. Yeah, but that movie, like I said, it fits this new theme that I saw. I don't know how long it's going to stay. I like that movie Killer Joe with Matthew McConaughey, a lot darker. Then you got the other movie with Eric Bana, and he plays like this kind of a psychopath. They say they think young kids are just immune to violence. It's video games. It's almost as if you got to have some violence for them to go to the cinema. So directors could be more restrained in their use of violence, but the smart ones are going to do what people like me say works. So It's always sex sells and violence sells. What's also interesting too is the new Ryan Gosling screening, I guess, that took place. Believe it was in Europe, and they were saying that it wasn't, people walked out and said it wasn't because of sex scenes. They said it was because of violence. They say Europeans can handle the sex scenes, but they can't handle the violence, whereas Americans, they don't like the sex scenes as much, but they like the violence. Teens teach porn class and other madness inside a Planned Parenthood-sponsored conference. It says, when I walked into this year's Oregon's Adolescent Sexuality Conference in Seaside, Oregon, one of the first things I encountered was a table manned by 3 young teen boys. It says on the table was a collage that included many depictions of totally bare female genitalia, obviously pornographic and one would think illegal. So it was a drawing of a woman circa 1950 declaring in the most base terms what a woman's private parts should smell like. It also included a drawing of a pigtail little girl riding on a tricycle with the word vagina written above her, and another drawing of a young female standing by a rose. Everyone can come inside are the words visible along the outer edges of the piece, which appeared to be basically a plate. The boys smiled nervously as hordes of teens who had arrived for what some described as a field trip past the display table. Says Planned Parenthood was on the steering committee of this conference. The Day 2 conference found her very reluctantly attending a workshop led by Yespa. Says here, you say porn, I say porn. The description did not even begin to touch the stark reality of the session. To porn or not to porn, that is the question. It says here, leading the masses through the very exciting world of pornography. It was held in a large room filled with teens and adults. It started with soft porn video commercial. It says this is just a sampling of the plan that Planned Parenthood has for teens. So you can go there and check out the website. So it says here in New York, police department data, whites much more likely to be carrying drugs and guns than minorities. A detailed analysis available publicly, New York Police Department data on crime 2012. They revealed that white people were much more likely to be carrying drugs and guns than minorities, despite making up a tiny fraction of individuals police subjected to so-called stop and frisk searches. It says here the group revealed that out of 500,000 stop and frisk searches in 2012, just 729 guns were found. By contrast, over 5,000 people were arrested for private marijuana possession, which was decriminalized citywide in 1977. From May 23rd, I could have sworn I just saw an article like this, similar to it. Marijuana is the drug most often linked to crime, study finds. Marijuana is the drug most often linked to crime in the U.S. The U.S. drug czar said Thursday, dismissing calls for legalization as a bumper sticker approach that should be avoided. 80% of adult males arrested for crimes in Sacramento, California last year tested positive for at least one illegal drug. Marijuana was the most commonly detected drug found in 54% of those arrested. It says here, Kurlikowski, a former Seattle police chief, has consistently opposed legalization since he became President Barack Obama's top drug policy advisor in 2009. So I'm sure that the pharmaceutical companies would be very happy with that study or finding. Marijuana tied to better blood sugar control. People who had used the marijuana in the past month had smaller waist and lower levels of insulin resistance, a diabetes precursor, than those who had never tried the drug, and it says in a new study. They say the findings aren't enough to prove marijuana keeps users thin or wards off disease. So it's like, okay. And among current pot smokers, higher amounts of marijuana use weren't linked to any added health benefits. Canadian group argues that current policies are ineffective. Experts say decriminalize drugs, and all of them. The Coalition of Canada, or Canadian drug policy experts, is calling on the country to decriminalize the use of drugs, not just, say, marijuana or other soft drugs, but all of them. Thanks to a stunning display of unimaginative thinking, Canada has been cracking down on drug users, which has done nothing to hamper the flow of illegal drugs into the country. And they say, they should just regulate it and tax it, which would be nice. But like I said, as long as they can make more money off drug bust, arrest, bail, court fines, and fees, they're not going to, if they can make more money doing that than taxing it, then that's what they're going to do. Of course, don't forget the big banks, the big banks are laundering money, so they're getting, they're basically charging fees to money, all the drug cartel money. 84-year-old woman with oxygen tank busted for dealing drugs. So, 84-year-old woman in Albuquerque has been arrested on the charge of conspiracy to commit drug trafficking, tampering with evidence, and possession of drugs. So, the neighbors insisted to the news channel that Smith had only allowed her son to deal drugs out of the apartment where they both lived because she needed someone to take care of her. So, it says here she had a prior conviction for drug trafficking in the 1990s. It says that that the officials, they basically didn't buy that story, but who, it's just like, so what? Judge charged with stealing cocaine from evidence of cases he presided over. We've seen the story. A former Pennsylvania judge has been charged on allegations that he stole confiscated cocaine use in the case trials, in some instances replacing the contraband with baking soda. 57-year-old Washington County judge. And I'm going to stop here. This is GGN, and I'm Darko. Thank you.